Have you ever wondered how I decided to be a composer? Well, a lot of people asked that question. Therefore, I decided to make a daily video and to explain some of my actions to you. If you're interested in this kind of stories about me, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and support me on Patreon. Now, let me get back to my story. Back in 1984, I was about 6, 7 years old. I was in Libya, and I remember that my parents took me by the Mediterranean Sea, where a couple of Roman sites are located, ancient Roman sites, Sabrata and Leptis Magna. One of these days, when we went there, it was like a big celebration. They were celebrating something. I don't remember. I was about 7 years old. And I remember that on a little stage, I could see some musicians playing synthesizers and, Arabian drums and so on. And that was the moment I was completely hooked, absolutely hooked by music and by the beauty of Arabian Oriental music. I remember we went back home and I asked my parents, please, I want to have a little synthesizer or a little organ or whatever. And they bought me a toy, which disappointed me a lot because it was like a little box, I don't know, like 10 inches long, maybe. And it had small keys, 1 inch, 1 inch and a half each. And it had like a little motor that will blow air in a harmonica. And the little motor, battery run motor, was way noisier than the actual notes I was trying to get out of that little toy. So obviously, I was not very happy with it. I would just try it from time to time. But in my mind, I was free and I was already making music. Back in Romania, 1985, it was like my first year of school. I was in the first grade, and we had this big celebration at the end of the year. And my teacher back then um, asked for one of her ex-students' help to play piano along with the children's choir and to make the accompaniment for those school songs. Well, she played so beautiful that I was completely hooked by the piano, and I could not imagine my life in the absence of a piano or in the absence of piano music. I went back home and I started lobbying my parents. Please buy me a piano. I want a piano. If you buy me a piano, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to be a very nice boy with good grades and everything. Just buy me the freaking piano. Well, they decided they're going to buy a piano. So a few months later, I don't remember exactly how many, I had that piano. It was an old Blüthner, 1916 or something. Viennese mechanics and so on, and it was not in a good shape. It was in a deplorable shape. But my dad, who's a very handy man, was very patient with it, and along with some guy that was working at the furniture factory in my town, they managed to bring it back to life. From that moment, that was my toy of choice, if I can say so. And I remember before even having a piano teacher, I was considering playing music by ear, of course, in a very unprofessional and bad way possible. Um, I was playing music by ear, music that I was listening on the radio back then, or on a cassette player. And I remember my very first song played on the piano with one or two fingers. It was "Final Countdown" from Europe, and then some music from Kleiderman or from ABBA, some Elvis Presley, some Beatles, whatever my dad had on those little cassettes in the house. And after that, I had a piano teacher, and once I managed to handle and to master the piano language properly with notes and real piano scores and a good position on the piano and the right fingering and so on, I decided that I have my own ideas. I have my own music, and I can express my own feelings through that music better than with words. Later on, I discovered that I can express other people's stories and feelings and emotions through music. And this is when I knew exactly that all I wanted to be is to be a composer, to get on stage and perform my music. I graduated music university. I have a master's degree in piano. Right now, I'm a PhD student. I know how to play all kinds of music. I grew up studying Mozart and Beethoven and Rachmaninoff, and I remember performing Liszt Concerto Number Two, and the songs like Flight of the Bumblebee and Rachmaninoff preludes and stuff like that. But I always knew somehow that I'm gonna use that knowledge to compose and to express myself better in my music. So, if you think you like these insights from my life and my career, again, do not forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share with your friends. I promise you there's more to come. See you soon.